fight here. Vol holding on to the Graviton. We'll see what he grabs here early on. Up and on the high ground. I don't think LG even wants to fight this too much until they're actually near the payload, but Vol now rejoining his team. Looking to open things up. Not going to let Vol get the engage he's looking for as Kyle piles on. And even though Renegades fighting back, or we see LG will play back a little bit, Renegades with a very good initiation that should play most of this fight, and questioning the late Earthshadow there from Super.
He's still in on this fight, though, not giving up. They're going to boost him to make sure it comes through. Super will eventually pick up Mangachu. Now he's going to be taking a nap as he waits for reinforcements from his team, but now reinforcements coming out for Renegades as well. So an undecisive fight. Super's still in here the entire time, and these tanks have been going at it. That is like the third time that they've charged into each other, both dropped, but that's a huge grab.
It's a big grab, but there's no follow through there. Kyle died for it. He overextended, gets punished by Vol, and suddenly the door is open for LG Evil to really take advantage of this momentum. That's a problem for Graviton. You still have to make sure that your team is there and can immediately help you.
That's 2 in a row, and you could probably chalk that up to being new to the roster. A beautiful hook from Train is going to grab Sherlocky. Now they're getting bullied out in this corner. Going to be difficult for them to come back and even present a decent fight. They're not going to. They're going to back off to avoid split spawns, knowing that second is all but over. It is.
So Renegades kind of struggling here to reclaim their defensive posture. LG Evil coming back in on momentum. Here comes Super, dying to back, holding on to Earthshadow. Mangachu drops down, gets slept. Only gets one with the Nano Visor early on here, so still options for LG Evil to win this fight. Super, late Earthshatter, gonna knock down 3. He comes right back in, and LG Evil has turned this fight back to their advantage, and I gotta say, an excellent sleep dart by Rob420 to just end Mangachu's threat there.
If you are a fan of Reinhardt play, you are in for a treat on this set. Juvenile can be a little riskier player, but he's been finding pay dirt tonight. Super again with a huge Earthshatter going into this. They have Nano Blade and Grab. They could easily close this out.
A lot of ultimates up here for LG Evil, a lot of threats. This is their best opportunity. Jake diving in deeper, looking for the Ana. Baits out the sleep, I guess, but gets very little done. Jake does get one towards the very end, but it's a mostly wasted Dragon Blade. 5 versus 5 here on the point. Graviton is in for LG Evil, and the Graviton lets him pick up one more. They're not getting the most out of their ultimates here just yet, but they are getting kills slowly, which is enough in this situation. Renegades should have some options here for stall, but they have to be careful. They do need to back up a little bit because now it's starting to get split spawned way out of control.
Another visor from Mangachu will come down. He will get the boost. Train does give his life for it, still trying to get some decent damage out of here. Vol very low. Vol will go down as well. That is 2 tanks now down for LG Evil as Super comes in. We'll take out Mangachu. Super is having a great game, but it's all alone. He gets another kill.
Super piling on, getting the support from the back. It's Rob420 that has his lifeline, just throwing every dart into him. Jake right now looking for a big claim towards the back. There's one. Dash resets down the table. Dragon Blade in and on the way. 4 kills here from LG Evil, and they almost have this payload to its final destination as Super just clears out so much space around the cart at the very end.
He's that great mix of aggression and shielding up and his sustainability. That was a great game from Super on the Reinhardt, hitting enormous Earth Shatters towards the end. So we'll see if Renegades can match that distance beat. Only 22 seconds left on the clock for Evil, but Renegades has to complete the entire map. Not something you always see on Hollywood.
Well, Hex, we're talking about it a lot in game. Let's bring it back to you again. Jesus on the Roadhog, were you convinced?
No, I don't know why you run him on the Roadhog and not something like a Tracer, and I think they're just trying to force him into a composition. We've said before that Jesus on the Roadhog always seems to be the 4th or 5th best option for Renegades. I don't know why they would come out with him on that composition. It was okay. I don't think it's anything really Jesus' fault. Again, I just don't think using him to his best ability. He's ascended to one of the top DPS players in North America.
I will note, though, that I'm actually very bullish on Kyle after seeing that last game because, yeah, he did have a bad Graviton towards the end of second, which probably cost him the second point. But on the same note, that's also something that's born out of team coordination.
Yes.
Not playing with Renegades as much. His actual mechanical play on Zarya, his ability to get charge very rapidly, and his ability to control the fight, get a whole lot of Gravitons, it was very good across the board. So, for Renegades, they might have struck gold with Kyle. I'm cautiously optimistic about him for the rest of the series.
He looked very good. He had several Gravitons up, and that's a timing issue that you can fix of just when you're using those Gravitons. Not like he threw them into defense matrices or anything. And as you mentioned, just mechanically, his Zarya was getting a lot of work done. Rob is going to be up on the perch, at least for now. Sometimes he jumps down from this spot as the defense now solidifies for LG Evil. They are going to run several tanks, and then Jake's going to freelance. 3-2-1 setup for them. And on the offensive side, it seems like Renegades wants to run the exact same composition they ran on the defensive side of things. So Jesus back on the Roadhog.
Well, this is where Renegades are just going to be looking to win shield battles outright and open up the floodgates for Jesus to get up momentum. Didn't quite work out that way the last time, but maybe it'll work out this time as Train goes down immediately. Not the best engage coming out here from LG Evil. 4 versus 4 here. It's getting very scrappy very quickly with both Reinhardts out, and Jake's still next back here. Nice deflection to not get hit by the hook. But this is a bit of a mess early on, and there will be a respawn advantage for Renegades in just a moment.
One would imagine as they do not keep track of Jake. He comes over the top trying to get the Ana. He's got to get back with his team. Very low on healing. Avast goes down, so it's all on Rob to keep his team alive, but I think they will come out and fight this. Here goes a Blade.
Well, Jake was able to build up Dragon Blade for it. That could be their hope going back. Gets Sherlocky. Already a Graviton out here from Kyle. Sets up for 3 kills on Renegades, but Jake doing enough to at least stall out here. Even though he gets 3 kills, I don't know if it's enough to pull this back. There's just too many dead members here of LG Evil, and Jake doesn't exactly have a lot of his health. So,
well, here comes Avast, who just didn't get the memo that that point was over, so not sure why he's even still fighting out here. There's nothing to gain, only a life to lose, which he does.
Lucio going to be complaining at his agent for sending him to a gig where no one was there.
Fight already over from that side of things. Jesus has built up a whole hog, and Juvenile should be getting his ultimate soon. So this push could continue off the back of the tanks. Jake has had interesting Genji lives. I think it's just almost too much meat on the field.
Well, Jake was doing fine in that last fight, and the problem was more just how they went out a little bit early. And uncharacteristic for the trade, he got picked off early. Now, Mangachu eats an Arid Fire Strike, goes down as a result. That's a big turnabout here for LG Evil, who now can go in 6v5. They don't have to worry about the 76, and Jake in particular is liberated here. Oh, what an Earth Shatter. 4 getting knocked down. Good night to Renegades. Gonna get fully wiped out here, and LG Evil might give them the complexity treatment in just a moment.
It seems like they are eyeing up a camp, and yeah, when you get a full team fight like that, you absolutely can. It has been the Rob and Super show for this LG Evil team. Grab comes in.
Full piling on, 3 people in that Graviton as Super goes even deeper. The hammer, so many options to swing. Gonna block the opposing Earth Shatter. Super just not caring, and this has been a great game for Super here so far. And that's just being a little bit extra as he blocks the Earth Shatter and keeps the pressure on the spawn.
Have to give Rob some credit too, as he's kept Super so alive and healthy and has hit these giant nades into team fights. So this camp already coming out. A whole hog will pop off. They boost the Zarya. Hook breaks 2.0 in action as Soundbearer comes out to try to get out of spawn.
Both teams dropping the beat. LG Evil drops it second, which is usually a bit of an advantage. Super. Earth Shatter up here once more. Is he gonna drop the hammer? You see Renegades a little bit split out here. Didn't have a great Earth Shatter target, and no, it's gonna be 3 members of LG Evil dropping, so Renegades will be able to break the spawn lock, but a lot of time has been burned off the clock.
Well, as you mentioned, we are just a little over 3 minutes for them to get second point, but now they're gonna get a lot of free push. This is the problem, getting your camp broken is high ground given up. They are giving up so much free push here. Super still has that Earth Shatter though, and I would not bet against him tonight.
The bigger problem is Kyle. Kyle is setting up for the ambushing Graviton here, and that could just ruin LG Evil's day. He's gonna drop the Graviton, pulls it at least 4. Here comes the follow through. Super drops the Earth Shatter, then try and deal with it, but it's not nearly enough. Not quite on target. 5 versus 4 now in favor of Renegades off of that Graviton, and Jake gets nothing done in the backline.
Dragon Blades have been okay. I just think that there might be a more impactful hero for Jake to be on, especially when you're playing against Azaria with this kind of tracking. He's taken so much damage, maybe not getting all the support he needs because Super is getting a ton of support. Super is going to come back in already at a quarter health though, and he will go down immediately.
Don't like this. Do not like this a bit from LG Evil, where they're throwing in probably the most single file stagger I've seen, and everyone just getting murdered as a result. Now they're going to be giving up the last area, or the first area of last year, very quickly, so I think that was a little bit questionable. They also fed more ults to Renegades, but they do have a very good setup here at the end of play, but Super goes down early, a little bit too far out.
Well, they're hiding. They were trying something weird as you still have Volt right here, but he's only got a single target.
All right.
What is...
An intimate encounter between Zarya and Roadhog right now in the back, where Roadhog plays a little bit too rough. Zarya out of the fight early on. think Vol just got stuck there in terms of spawns and wasn't able to get out. So they're not going to Vol for a while, and this has been a lot of uncontested push here for Renegades.
Absolutely. 3 minutes to close out the map, as that is the task that they have to get done, as LG Evil was able to complete their first attack. A nice hook onto a boosted soldier.
Well, here comes the Graviton as Jake piling through, cutting away all of that meat in that Graviton. So even though Megachu uses Attack Visor, gonna get very little done compared to Jake, who followed through on Vol's Graviton about as well as you can expect. Yes, Jake, you did use a Dragon Blade. Thank you for painting that picture of a Dragon Blade right after.
It's helpful. It's helpful for some of us who like pictures.
Kappa Ross.
Saved. Well, Jake is going to try to get some shuriken poke in. As I said, the blades have been good from him so far. The last one definitely there. Jesus and Jur will have ultimates here if they choose to push in, perhaps waiting for Kyle, who's at 90% on his graph.
Evil trying to keep the pressure on here, but Renegades coming right back in with the sound barrier. They want this to be over right now. The Graviton comes in. The fall through is almost there, but only Train and Ana dying in the beginning. LG Evil still backing out, and there's the counter Earthshatter from Super. Gonna knock down 2. It's very close here in the point, and now it's gonna come down to Vol. No, Vol is out of it. This is now the last bit of delay, and not looking great here for LG Evil as Renegades powers right through off of Kyle's Graviton. Now, they get it. The cap is in at the very end, and Renegades a little bit ahead of LG Evil here.
Kyle with a lot of nice kills there towards the end. He was again burning down Jake on the Genji. And both teams able to finish the map. Of course, Renegades did it a little bit quicker, so they will have much more time in their bank. LG Evil will get this attack. I think only a minute on the clock for them.
It is going to be only a minute. So Renegades is working with a lot more time, although that can be misleading, where sometimes you can have very good defenses on first that make this minute-and-a-half difference seem less than it actually is. I do think LG Evil had an uncharacteristically bad defense early on point A, where I think it was, of course, Train getting caught out very early. So no matter what happens on LG Evil's attack, I would expect them to come out stronger for the next setup.
They used to be able to bring these fights back that are not happening tonight, which is why you see all of this stagger and the feeding that you're seeing go in, is because they do believe, even a 2v6, that they have a chance in those fights, but obviously did not work. Avast going to point at the very end of first made no sense, and the stagger that came out on second was brutal. He gave up a lot of free space here. As you mentioned, uncharacteristic of LG Evil. They will continue to run the same composition, as will Renegades. LG Evil on the attack, only a minute.
So for LG Evil, their dream scenario here is that they take first very quickly, and they build up a Dragon Blade in the process to go into second for a crazy overtime push. They're not going to have a whole lot of room to work with here should this first defense of Renegades be successful, and I expect Megachu to be under a little bit more pressure. Already getting hit by Jake, and now Jake in or the cafe. Megachu committing even more the takedown Train, but he's gone. They lose that soldier pressure in or the top. Now it's going to be up to the front line of Renegades to pull this back. 5 versus 4 in their advantage. Jake already up to 60% on the Dragon Blade.
Jake getting a lot of damage, and Mangachu will be reinforcing this, though, and they don't have the horses to be able to finish this fight. They're going to chase down Avast, who's somewhere off on an island as a Lucio, but he does pull them out of position. Will go down rather late, though. Only 15 seconds left. They can't wait for him.
No, they can't wait for Avast, so they're going to have to win this 5 versus 6, and Juvenile is here with an Earthshatter that can perfectly counter the Dragon Blade, so even though Jake will have this, we'll see how it works out. Jake moving in, gets a nano boost. Earthshatter falling, and Jake is one of the takers, thrown right to the ground, and yet we see that Jesus is already down here. This is still a winnable fight for LG Evil, and this Dragon Blade now in play. Jake bringing it out. No nano boost with it this time. Getting stymied a bit by Kyle. It's a nice shield on the Lucio as Jake gets bullied in the back.
He's getting absolutely pushed out there, but somehow lives through this, still putting a lot of damage onto Juvenile, who will eventually fall. The Train core, or the tank core of Train on the point. They're going to get this.
And what happened there is that even though Jake was really struggling versus the Lucio and Zarya there, Train made the most of that distraction. Landed hooks, landed secondary fire with a scrap gun, and opened up the fight. So multiple threats on LG Evil, and sort of what we were talking about in the pre-game analysis, Train is very much able to bring these fights back.
Absolutely, and everyone on this LG Evil team will have chances to win fights for their team, and though Jake is maybe underperforming from what we've seen out of him, the distraction he's causing is allowing his team to pick it up. One of the big things I've noticed for Renegades is even their giant tank ults, they're not having the coordination to clean them up.
Well, this is the overtime push. Renegades just needs to throw LG Evil off the point. LG Evil cannot get off it. Oh, it's a big earth shatter by Super. Knocks down 3. Here comes LG Evil. This is the overtime push. Who knows when breaks will be applied to this train, or Train himself, as that's about as decisive as it gets. This is a disaster for Renegades right now, as time has been over for LG Evil for a long time, and yet this payload's still moving.
A lot of progress here with a 1-minute push from LG Evil and no breaks on it just yet. They do also have a couple ultimates going on to this. Another Dragon Blade could be coming up for Jake. He's been building these quickly.
Well, here comes Jake going right to the back, looking for Mangachu. 1 slice, 2. The sound barrier comes up and kind of ruins his day, but still in on Mangachu. Forces Mangachu to spend most of his tack visor getting in on him. Still, 5 versus 5 on the point. The effects of these ultimates have dissipated. Now it's going to be more mechanical, but Train and Rob 420, they're winning these mechanical fights. Train, still a threat here in this fight. The counter graviton comes in from LG Evil. But Renegades fighting right back. It's very close as Train picks up another 2. Train has been unleashed here. 3 at the very end in a fight that was looking like Renegades might have been able to bring it right back. Oh my goodness. A little bit of stall coming out here from Lucio at the end, just trying to buy time, but we're getting here to this next point. This has been an overtime for so long now, and LG Evil keeping the momentum rolling forward.
Train is having himself a day and a half on Hog. The follow through to some of these ultimates, it was a desperation grab, but only desperate if it doesn't work. They were able to get the right click damage through there, and just the way these ults have been staggered out. Look, Train is going to have whole Hog again. Super again with Earth Shatter. It seems like we just saw these.
Super has been landing good shatter after good shatter. We'll see if he gets it here again. Juvenile has to be watching out for this early on. He's been a little bit too crazy with dropping his shield. The shield is dropped here. Super looking for the opportunity. They're about to break that shield outright, and that hammer is coming down immediately after. And there it is. 3 people knocked down again. Super. He might not be with Hammers Esports anymore, but he still can swing it. 5 versus 5. Mangachu, Tac Visor has been used. Only used to kill Jake here. And LG Evil, they're still just a dominating presence on the payload. Train, though, finally getting derailed here towards the end. Sound barrier a little bit late here. Now the counter sound barrier out from Renegades as they're swarming over the payload. LG Evil in some trouble.
They had Mangachu slept and he was woken up, but here comes Jake again with the blade to try to bring this back. Super takes out his counterpart again as Juvenile goes down.
All hands on deck here for LG Evil. Contribution coming out from all sides, but with Jesus getting 2 on the cart, Jake not able to get back on there quite in time. Maybe a slight error if you really wanted to nitpick it, but I think it would have been difficult for Jake to hold that back. But overall, a phenomenal overtime push coming out there from LG Evil. And say whatever you want about the time bank difference. It doesn't matter now. Renegades is in a very poor position indeed.
To get that much push off of a 1-minute Hollywood attack is rare, to say the least. Renegades is just not following up on some of the giant plays they are getting. If you look at, we talked about Graph on the first round of Hollywood. This one, it was an Earth Shatter that knocked several down, and they weren't able to clean that up. That is a concern going forward, and it's going to be difficult for them as we do have a pause here. Not sure exactly what's going on. It's not my job. Jake needs a quick pause, I think.
So something is going on here on the LG Evil side. Maybe they just want to dab all that sweat off from how great that last push was. I don't even know.
Well, I mean, I just feel like I got done watching the Train and Super show, and now we're going to see what the next show is. So we're intermission between these two shows. But obviously, you know, everyone on LG Evil contributing, but Train absolutely going off. And we talk about Jesus playing that Roadhog and how we don't like to see that because we just don't see those same impact plays as consistently. And he had a few hooks, but Train really kept coming in big as they're back.
It just comes down to what we were talking about in the desk, where even when it looks like LG Evil is losing a fight, Train has this uncanny ability to turn losing fights into winning fights, whether he's on Diva, whether he is on Roadhog. He's a very consistent player in those situations, and it's sort of a backbone to LG Evil that sometimes gets overlooked in favor of the flashier nature of Jake and Super, but you can't take that last round away from him and just how good it really was.
And he does it on all sorts of heroes too. His pool is extremely deep. This entire LG Evil team, they have players who can play almost everything. The only one who's like consistently on what heroes they're on is Robin Avath, but that is the life of a support. Super reprising his role as the Hammers mascot for LG Evil. And right down to it, we're going to run a Pharah.
Renegades going to their bread and butter here, where they know they need to not just win, but win big early on here if they want to hope to match payload progress. And Mangachu in the back line. Gotta expect him to go back in soon. Tries to display Super here, and they get Train instead. So Train already out of the fight very early on as Mangachu in over the top. Rocket after rocket getting to the squishy back line. It's a very good opening here for Renegades. Mangachu not able to land these last few rockets. Now under pressure in the back line, is taken down by Jake. So it was a good opportunity for Renegades. They're not able to finish their plate. And now LG Evil could be bringing this right back as Jared finds himself in a very awkward position.
So uncharacteristic from Mangachu. We talked about him being a closer on Pharah. Hitting decisive rockets was not the case there. He'd like to have that life back, as would Jake, who dashes through Kyle's beam. Not the best of ideas, but now they have a player advantage if they can get back and reinforce quickly enough. I don't think they will be able to, though. Super has shattered.
Jake's body had so much velocity there that probably left an imprint on the sidewalk. That was a pretty remarkable Genji death. But Renegades now coming back in. Mangachu holding on to the barrage. He's going to be looked to be sneaky. The rest of Renegades is coming in from the front. Mangachu looking to come in for the side, but there's the Earth Shatter from Super. Gonna knock down 2 immediately, and Mangachu having to play cleanup here, and I think he's done. He doesn't want any more of this fight.
He's got to get out. And Rob had already spotted him out early there. That's why you didn't see him come for the flank. And knowing that Mangachu wasn't with his team opens up the front line to a little bit of play like that. So whenever you're going to fight 5v6 with a flanker out of the fight, you will have the advantage, and LG Evil is a team that is always willing to take a fight, so not going to be too patient there. If they see an opportunity to win a fight, they'll grab it.
30 seconds left for Renegades. This fight must win. Volvo into the back line, gets 3, and the barrage just canceled out by Train. A beautiful diva play to protect the Graviton and protect Jake as he went in for the follow-through. This is all sorts of bad for Renegades. They're down to their final 10 seconds. And even if they're able to even touch a point here, it's not looking good. LG Evil has resources to spare.
Well, Train could self-destruct. A lot of things have to happen right, and they don't even get onto the point.
That's not their fault. They just didn't have people able to touch it. That is,
right.
We did not have a spree situation.
Every day with ZP finds a way to bring that up. With even days when we're off or something like that, you know, just living everyday life, he finds an opportunity to bring up spree.
I mean, you know, it's like a situation where Hex leaves out food. I said, Hex, don't be a spree in regards to food. Put that back on the refrigerator where it belongs.
Well, Super, a well-deserved play of the game. You could pick any sort of highlight from him and just coming around the corner. They're at their best in this tank composition when Super is allowed to play aggressively. This is one of the reasons why the first time I saw them, I hearkened them to NIP. They play a similar style. Super and Fraggy get all the support in the world. And I think a lot of those things came down to coordination. If you saw every grav, a nade came over top. Everyone was cleaning up those fights. I mean, those were giant bio grenades into gravs.
Absolutely. And one thing I found very remarkable here is I remember back when these teams first played, we thought it would be more of a mismatch between Super and Juvenile because Juvenile had his struggles and Super was very dominant. I feel like we didn't see that happen in previous matchups, but we certainly saw it here where Super was landing good Earth Shatter after good Earth Shatter. Every time he had it up, you could almost be assured that 2, 3 people were going to be hitting the deck. It was a monstrous Reinhardt game.
Yeah, there was a point on third where they were just playing that Reinhardt battle, and I was just eating it up because it's like Super knows what's going to happen here. And then attributing something to their team is they are beating down on that shield, and then they know when to call that, hey, the shield's about to go down, lay down the hammer. But there were multiple times when Super was getting just mismatched ultimates while the shield was actually still up for Juvenile. But then let's talk about Train. And I want to talk about him on the end there because he played obviously really good Roadhog, but then you got Mangachu switching over to Pharah. Well, guess who Train's really good at? Do I have any guesses?
Diva?
Diva?
Is that how you pronounce it?
No.
Is it Diva?
Diva, yeah,
Diva.
I think is what it is, yeah. No, but and just Diva coming out there at the end to completely shut down Mangachu. I don't even disagree with maybe Mangachu going on that to try something, but
Going on the fair was the right decision in terms of it's where Renegades has made the most out of it. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to get either the flanks he was looking for because he would sort of half go for a flank, then come back, and never really got that off. And then, of course, Train was pretty much on anti-Mangachu duty, where, as you mentioned, the playbook there was sort of ridden to some extent by complexity, where put a fair in his face. You'll eat enough rockets. He's not going to have great engages. And then he eats pretty much the entirety of a barrage towards the very end, where, to Mangachu's credit, that was a good barrage decision to make there in the moment where you have your team stuck by a graviton. People are going to be a little bit more reckless in following it through. You use a barrage to cover and deal with it. Unfortunately, Train was right there, negated that from happening, and it turns out to be a graviton combo with Jake that takes down 3 people.
It was just poor execution on his very first fair of life. He got to the back lines. He was alive for 10, 15 seconds. It was a nice concussion that started off to get them out of position, and then he just didn't hit his rockets. As simple as that. He had the sight lines onto Ana, of all things, and especially if you can take down Ana against this LG Evil team, you're going to be in a good spot because that makes Super less effective, less healed up. Just didn't hit rockets, period.
Didn't hit those rockets, which we know he can, but just wasn't that time around. The only other thing I want to talk about is Kyle on Zarya specifically. We still don't have a lot of data on him, but one of the early indicators that we saw was his energy levels were fairly high in some of those early fights, maybe tapered off towards the end as LG Evil was hitting their critical mass. But what are your thoughts on Kyle coming in on this roster?
I think his second round was a little bit weaker, but overall, it's a good showing. I think anyone that is not on a permanent team, which Kyle is not permanently with Renegades now to our knowledge, it's good game tape. And the one error he did have that was particularly notable, where the Graviton was out and the rest of the team wasn't there, that can be explained away by the fact that he's newer to the team. I really did like what we saw from Kyle here. I would like to see probably what he can do on other heroes in a more extensive manner. You don't want to pick up someone who's only good at Zarya because that's going to leave you in problems. But I think overall as a player, I did like what we saw from him. And I think for Renegades, it's probably been their best person in that slot since they had Saipe in the Genji slot.
I mean, you say you can't only Zarya, but she's been in every composition since like game release. She gets a lot of play time. I agree with you though, but because I think every team needs a Genji at some point, and right now in this Renegades roster there isn't one, and I think they expect Kyle to be that.
Yeah, and I mean you saw how potent a Genji can be. I would even say that was almost a supportive Genji from Jake, in that he was in the back line like dealing with Mangachu, or really just distracting Mangachu, while the rest of his team, namely Train, was cleaning up the kills on the other side. Well, we do have our next map. It is going to be Temple of Anubis, and no surprises here, as we've been seeing a lot, and we attribute this to some differences between it and this, specifically the second point of Hanamura. But between these two teams, we've got Pharah on the board, of course. We've got Widow. What are we expecting to see?
Well, regardless of what compositions they want to run or anything, Renegades has to win this map. It's one of the maps where LG Evil is weaker, so I can't see them winning this set if they don't pick up this map.
It's weaker, but it also just feels like dated news at this point in the sense that they've gotten a lot better at Assault.
Yes.
LG Evil in Assault here in playoffs week is very different from LG Evil in Assault back in week 1. They have very much increased their level of how good they are on this map type. Now, I do agree that if you want to bring this back and win a 5-map series, you probably do have to win this as LG or as Renegades. But LG Evil is not the easy out here on Anubis that they were a few weeks prior.
No,
well, sorry. Some of their struggles actually came in Hanamura as well, where they would try to run 4 DPS, but they've adopted a much more standard style on Assault, so they've learned from their mistakes.
And as a side note, I don't know if Renegades necessarily played better on Hanamura, but they certainly were more fun. We saw Torbjorn, we saw 4 DPS actually out of LG Evil, but I doubt we're going to see either of those as we're coming in to map number 2 here in the semifinals of the Overwatch Carbon Series, with LG Evil up 1-0. Take it away, gentlemen, for this very, very sandy map.
You know, people talk about Torb not being played as much in the last few weeks, but I gotta say, I was out buying milk the other day, and I definitely saw Shimada brother on it. It was Hanzo. Don't see a whole lot of him in the OCS, to be sure. So
he's gotten more airtime tonight because we've been running his short, but has not seen actual gameplay.
Where he also just got brutalized in that short. He did not cover himself in glory. Genji, unsurprisingly, won there as well. So,
as a younger brother, I love that short. It makes me happy.
It's good to have fantasies.
Well, let's see what they want to run here on the offense for LG Evil. Wait, no, Renegades.
No, it's LG.
Sorry. So yeah, Renegades will be running their offense here, looking very standard. Composition-wise, I think we have some overlay issues. Either that or my brain is broken. I've been out in Denver for a long time.
Well, you are. No, I'm not even referencing that. Something about brains and delay. But Renegades right now setting up here on the attack. Mangachu on the Pharah, his bread and butter. He's going to be looking to come in here. A lot of times he does go in from the deep left. This time, going more up the gut. Renegades, they feel they have a bit of advantage. LG Evil push back, and Mangachu just looking for anything here. Can't get that rocket deflected early on, but down goes Jake. Takes the next one right to the teeth. And this is a beautiful engage so far here by Renegades, where LG Evil really struggling to throw this back.
Hitting rockets, that's the important part of this. He's actually hitting the rockets that he needs to hit this time. The one on Jake was absolutely beautiful, and those Super will get a single kill. It is the Mangachu show as he takes first point for the Renegades.
Mangachu pretty comfortable in first point. No other way of putting it. Great area for Pharah. Even better when you can land rockets the way that Mangachu can when he is playing well. And Renegades already jumping on here to this point. LG Evil in a world of hurt here. Here comes a pulse bomb from the back from Jesus. Takes down Super. The pressure unrelenting. This barrage not going to get as much done as Mangachu would have liked because of the Diva play, but every kill going the way of Renegades. LG Evil has been caught with their pants down.
Well, Kyle does use that Dragon Blade as well. Gets a dash reset through, so we are seeing a bit of his Genji right now. 2 ticks already on the board for Renegades. Desperation time as they are not getting a single kill out here. Diva will come out and stall, but you need to start seeing blue in that kill feed. That's a kill from Jake, takes on Mangachu, but they're going to res it immediately.
Renegades is all in here. There's a beta 1 combo. Resurrection into Sound Barrier. Every kill going their way. A little nice flick shot at the very end. And LG Evil, they might have a train on their team, Hex, but they just got run over.
Oh, the license plate on that truck read Mangachu. It's just that simple, though. When he's hitting rockets like that, almost impossible to deal with.
He has good individual rounds.
Yeah.
But when it's time to switch up or when the other team has made adjustments, he will also disappear. So that's the real frustrating part about rooting for Renegades at times, where they have points where you want to love this team, you want to love their contribution, and then they have moments where it's just like, wait, guys, what are you doing? So for Renegades, that was definitely on the upper end of the spectrum to be sure. And LG Evil already in a very deep hole as they're going to be starting their attack here in just a moment.
That was actually faster than the attack we saw Immortals pull off earlier tonight, which is also one of the fastest I've ever seen on Temple of Anubis. LG Evil will be looking for answers here on their attack. Very possible they will run this Widow. And if you're Renegades, do you just run exactly what you ran? I mean, if Mangachu's feeling it right now, it's very clear. It's not the most typical of defensive compositions.
Run it until they prove they can beat it.
Yep.
Full stop.
That has been our philosophy with Pharah for a very long time. Of course, now they do have the Widow on it, and Widow is one of the few heroes who can solo a combo.
I do think Mangachu is pretty good about dealing with Widowmakers and being sneaky, although remember what we see a whole lot on Widowmaker on first to begin with, which is that if you dive the Widow deeply, which in this case would be a Pharah and Mercy diving on the Widow, you kill Jake. You still have 5 people on the point, and the composition that you have tailored your team around is not there helping you. So Mangachu does have to be careful about how much he commits to get on the Jake, should he in fact be running this Widowmaker.
They are going tank heavy, or just 2 tanks actually, with this composition, none of which are Diva, which might need to change. Vol will switch off last second onto Diva as they spot the incoming rockets from Pharah. Now just going for the slow push around the side.
Now for Jake, let's be clear, should he get Mangachu, there is no meatier, heartier prize than that. That is the ultimate. He is under pressure here in the back. It's going to be Kyle that is in the back pressing him, and Mangachu goes down. Train not able to get that early on, and Jake is under a lot of pressure back here.
He is. It's been very difficult for him. Mangachu comes in over the top, will take down Rob. Most of the healing now gone for this LG Evil team, as there goes Lucio as well. Full time to retreat. Gonna look to see if he can find a Widow up there. They're being very aggressive, pushing LG Evil all the way back to spawn. Super will fall late to Jesus, who's been on this Tracer being a nuisance.
The problem there is that LG Evil was not able to take advantage of so many people going in on Jake.
Yes.
There's 2 people going to the back line, but even with that being the case, we saw Mangachu take down Train in that room, and Mangachu was just able to float around because no one could deal with him at that point. That said, next fight underway. LG Evil switching to much more of a dive comp with Jake now in the Genji, and they get 2 very quick kills here. Jesus falling to Ana's Bile Grenade before he can rewind out, but Mangachu, the counter barrage, the equalizer, if there ever was one. 3 versus 3 left in this fight. Mangachu still has the support here from Sherlocky. No resurrection on the menu here just yet. But with Jake going down, they might pull back, but no, Sherlocky is out. The resurrection option no longer a thing. Don't tell that to Mangachu, who's still landing rocket after rocket.
A very important kill onto Sherlocky, but this fight continues to go on. Mangachu now supportless, has to be careful, goes down.
Well, he's out of the fight now, but now he can be brought back. Sherlocky holding on to the rest. He's going to be going for it here in just a moment. So, gotta think Mangachu's going to be brought up before he goes down. No, the resurrection doesn't come out. Mangachu's back in spawn. So, an opportunity here for LG Evil in this moment. A lot of people went down. Resurrection bringing them back up. Mangachu will be back to fight in about 5 seconds, so we'll see how this window goes. The fight now back to fight 5 as Kyle picks up 2.
These Genjis look great, and that's absolutely what they need on this roster for this composition. Sherlocky will eventually fall to Jake, who's going to get a reset now on his dash. Still have not had a great answer to Mangachu, somewhat just trying to avoid it, which is a possibility to make him your lowest priority, but I don't think you can do that when he's doing this much damage. Train has to be the one to kill him. I don't mind a solo ult period if you have to use it.
Well, Train is almost certainly going to ult to take him out when he's out of position, and here we go. Attack visor comes in pretty early on here. Kyle immediately falling, and Train right now just getting out of the way of that Winston. Not able to do much with the rest of the attack visor, so it's a 1-kill attack visor. Removes Kyle from the equation as we are now in a 5v4 as Sherlocky falls once more. LG Evil with a lot more momentum into this push.
Well, support's now down, but Rob does fall to Jesus and Juvenile combined on him in pack room. They're still looking to get a little bit more. It's been brawly and back and forth. A pulse bomb will send Winston home to the moon.
Oh my goodness. Talk about Sudoku pack there if there ever was one. Some say Winston's still flying to this day, but the smoke is settling here, and LG Evil able to get the most here on the fight. They will get point A, but it's certainly a much slower time than we saw from Renegades on their attack. That said, they're gonna have some momentum going in the last here. Mangachu swapping off on the Winston. The days of fair are over. And now, Jake with the Nanoblade up and on the mid.
Well, this defense very common. You add as many tanks as possible, and then you just let Tracer clean up on the defense. Jake's comes in with the blade, does end up taking down Jer.
1 per kill up the Nanoblade, that is going to be it. It's not the most valuable, but they are keeping Renegades off the point right now. But they just lose Rob 420 in the back. This is where Jesus can be so good in these skirmish situations. They're gonna have to deal with him. And for now, it's not super decisive as Jesus takes down 2. Now it's actually over for this push.
Jesus is one word we use a lot when we're discussing him, because it is just miracle play after miracle play. And some
All right.
team action there as Kyle will eventually bunny blast down the bowl.
I hate it when divas fight.
Yeah, why can't they just get along?
Well, we're going to be seeing LG Evil regroup here. Not a whole lot of ultimates left in their favor for this next fight. Of course, both teams relatively drained, so there's an opportunity, but LG Evil's going to have to really mechanically outplay Renegades here as Mangachu had Primal Rage and goes to Orb, now Soldier.
Despite what the short would tell you is generally Reaper favored, I agree with you. I'm just trying to figure out some rationale.
That's fine. Swap after the Primal Rage. Your team had no defensive ultimates going in there. You were the only one who...
It didn't work out. It definitely did not work out. I do like the Reaper switch, though, too, as Jake was having a little bit of problems with the Winston, and then Reaper is so good at snowballing. That's something we've seen on Team Liquid on Anubis, and they've had great success with it, so LG Evil studying that playbook will finally get it to success. However, all right, regardless of anything that happened, 6 minutes on the clock for Renegades, and only a little shy of 3 for LG Evil.
I'm glad you're talking right now, Hex. ZP.exe is rebooting. Stand by. Well, we are getting into our next round table Anubis. Renegades, at the very least, still with a rather big advantage here. That's going to be them on the defense once more. We'll see if LG Evil has a bit more success. This time, they're not even attempting the Widowmaker. They're going in with hard dive early on, and they're going to be challenging this rather directly.
Well, Mangachu had a great performance on the boosted Pharah last time. Does find targets all alone. Rob doing his best to keep himself alive. Uses nade, uses pack, is able to get out for the time being. But Mangachu doesn't give up on fights like that.
No, he doesn't, and Renegades is trying this out a bit more effectively. And I gotta say, for LG Evil, probably stop going in through the left. There's too much room for Mangachu to work there, and he's been very clearly effective in shutting them down when they try and go through that angle.
Sherlocky taking a lot of damage from this soldier, but Jesus comes in to eliminate Train. I mean, yes, Mangachu is in the air, but Jesus is just wrecking these ground forces.
It's a great setup for Renegades, where Jesus is doing work on the ground, Mangachu doing work into the top, stopping that building from being a viable staging point here for LG Evil. And LG Evil, they don't have a whole lot of time here, a minute 45, so a hold here on first, very much in play for Renegades if they do this right. Jesus getting engaged on, doesn't get a chance to throw out the pulse bomb early on, and with Kyle already down, it's a 65 opportunity. I'll pocket that in the back, the barrage hits. Train already out of this fight, so Renegades striking right back as, though under pressure, Jesus doing a lot of work in and around the point.
Jake's gonna try to get in here on the Genji. They need a fight from him as far as getting dash resets go. There is 1 kill, but he has lost 2 of his tank supports. There is the Primal Rage that will end his life from Juvenile. Mangachu still alive on this Pharah and waiting for his mercy. Get Sherlocky back in the fight here. Vulcan hit a self-destruct. There are gonna be a lot of ults on the table for this next push, but we are under a minute.
They're going to have a lot of ultimates, but if they don't take down Sherlocky immediately, I don't think this is going to go well. The Resurrection is going to be up and available here, as well as the Dragon Blade. So a lot of ways that LG Evil loses this fight. They need the early Dragon Blade or the early Visor to be very successful here. It needs to be 2-0, 3-0 to make this work. But Dragon Blade comes up from Kyle first. Going into the room, trying to make it party, and ends up getting just dunked on instead. Super takes him down. The counterblade out here from Jake. Resurrection is in here from Renegades, but every kill going the way of LG Evil early on is Super gladly welcomes people into the room. He's having a blast.
Nice early kills to force out that Resurrection. Now it is just Kyle on the point, who goes down yet again. And this will be LG Evil taking first point here. Jesus will pulse bomb for this next defense. We'll see what Mangachu wants to go to now. They do favor this very heavy tank composition at last, but this is the counter read already. Jake on the Reaper.
Jake, and Reaper should be getting used on last more often than it is anyways. I mean, the times have been used in the OCS, it's been effective. Teams just don't use it that often. But here comes LG Evil, down to their final 30 seconds. When they rotating in here without a whole lot of delay. Early Earth Shatter in, and it's a nice engage here from Super, cleaving through 3 people. Soundbear gonna neutralize most of it, but I do like the attempt. Renegade still losing the poke war here somewhat heavily, but Jesus with the Pulse Bomb, D-Max Diva, and the counter engage here is afoot as Renegades moving right back in. Already 2 kills early on, and though Jake's trying to bring this back, very outnumbered here.
It's going to be difficult. Primal Rage will get popped. Taking out Jesus is a big deal.
It's a huge deal, and now they're piling on. It was a sleep dart that set that up, so Jake, working in tandem with Rob 420 to light up this point, gets another kill on the Kyle, the Reaper that would not die. Light Nanovisor now coming out here from Mangachu, trying to make things happen and just gets stymied by Vol. The defensive matrix in his face as Jake is getting every kill. The Reaper working out so well in the end.
They did such a great job of making sure that that Tactical Visor got nothing. They dropped the bubble. They put the Diva on, and Death Blossom will be available if they need to use it. But just hitting primaries. They will knock the Lucio off of the point. So snowbally.
And they have a Death Blossom here to be the finisher. Now they're even going to Amanda Stallings. Mangachu swapping to that in the end. Only one tick here so far for LG Evil, so they don't have this here just yet, despite how dominant it's been. But look for the spinning to occur as Jesus is immediately taken out. The Death Blossom traded for Tracer's life. Soundbearer in late, and LG Evil going to end with 4 points as their time expires. Pressure now on Renegades to get through and complete Anubis once more.
They just completely shut down that tactical visor. It was on a nice flank, the Winston bubble, but then they knew that that wasn't going to be enough to deal with all of it. Sending the Diva there late, they almost got the Lucio, but to completely shut down an ultimate combo like that with just abilities is so big.
Now, let's be clear here. Despite some of the misplays by Renegades in regards to unexplained switching, and despite LG Evil making a better run of it there, Renegades still has a lot of time to work with in this next push, and they completed their first attack lightning fast. So, even though you can never take capping last on Anubis as a granted, with 6 minutes and 18 seconds, Renegades has a very good chance of at least making this a tie. And then, time-wise, there's still a good chance that they'd have extra time to make a final attack on to last. So, LG Evil hardly out of the woods here, despite a pretty impressive second attacking round.
You are correct in that, and Jesus, with the compliment of getting solo Death Blossom, they really started to focus him down because Tracer is one of the best heroes to try to bring those fights back. Generally able to get a pretty nice kill-to-death ratio on Tracer. This is the same defense that, or the same offense that Renegades ran before. Jesus not going to be trying out the Widow. They're going to go very divey here, and really just about Mangachu's execution. He executed great on his first leg.
My ultimate is charged.
Renegades looking for this early fair engage and went up the gut last time, and appear to be going up the gut this time. No mercy in Mangachu's body as he finds Rob 420 immediately, treating him to that early rocket. 5 versus 5 the point, but this time the counter pressure on the Mangachu far more effective. It's Jake and Vol getting in there, and Jake actually getting a bit out-tooled there by the Lucio Endure, so he backs off from that fight, which usually should go Genji's way. That said, LG Evil still very much in control of the momentum on this point and should be able to force Renegades back.
So many fights are happening inside the defense matrix. Just very, very good Diva play. This time it's not even Train, it's Vol. His Train has been on anti-Mangachu duty. And probably for the benefit of Rob, because Rob has been the primary target every single time Mangachu dives, and he's done a lot to try to save his own life, but it's simply too much to overcome a damage-boosted Mangachu hitting rockets on you.
It's a scary double threat here, though, because even if you're looking at Mangachu, you still have an unchecked Jesus in and about. Still, though, they are looking to get on Mangachu here early on. Dragon Blade on the way out from Kyle. Takes down Train immediately. Mangachu, plenty of room to fly in the sky now because of that 76 Nana being down. And just about every kill going away from Renegade. So Kyle just enabling Mangachu to get those cleanup kills.
They had the flank spotted. They had a Genji and a Winston over there ready to deal with it. So cerebrally, they understood what was going to happen to them, but unable to finish the kill. Sherlocky got very low in that fight, but unable to get that Tracer, or that Mercy rather, down. She will regen the health back. Now they've got a pretty nice advantage going here towards last.
So if LG Evil wants to win Temple of Anubis outright, they must now hold for 5 whole minutes. Easier said than done. They do have ultimates to fight this early pushback. They drop the sound early. Jesus, dropping a present in the back. Doesn't connect, but it's for the barrage that does connect. 5 versus 5 here, but Jake, the counter Dragon Blade coming in, takes down 2, now 3, slicing through the Renegades backline. Renegades not gonna get this on the very first push.
Rob is getting solo ulted every time anyone sees him. Mangachu did come up over the top and barrage him. They tried to hit him with a pulse bomb. They are really prioritizing taking down the Ana, which is the correct choice. But they're bringing it back. Was LG Evil, the Dragon Blade, was able to take down the combo. So, you know, you mentioned 6 minutes, 5 minutes, but each one of these attacks generally takes a minute and they have no progress. Now we're at 4 minutes. If they can prioritize taking down Sherlocky, not allowing Reses to come in, that's exactly what they're doing. They do a lot of damage to the Mercy. No kill yet, though.
No kill here just yet as Jake gets the backline. Sherlocky already out of it. Don't have to worry about the resurrection. It's 4-0 for LG Evil here. So the counter dive being very effective. And I will say this from LG Evil, I do like that they're not going to the Sombra. Even though they've played it before, I don't think they've usually played the Sombra super well in defense. They're just powering through Renegades right now, and it's a much better look.
Sombra not as good against the combo either, and yes, Genji is a ground-ish hero, but he's going to be able to at least dash through the skies, hit those long-range shurikens, put enough damage onto the Mercy and Pharah to make their lives less than ideal. All set up now. Train is looking for a flanking pulse bomb. He's going to have his team call out targets for him when he sees them. I mean, ideally, you'd hit part of this combo with it, but there's sound barrier.
Sound barriers in. Magnitude looking for the first kill. Takes down Train, slam dunking him with the damage boosted rocket. One rocket, all it takes. 3 kills here from Renegades, make it 4. Now for Evil, this is where, how do they stall this out? They're in a very rough position, but you can stall it out when not everyone dies at the same time, and they do find a way on the Juvenile, who's immediately res. Sherlocky not wanting anything to do with not having full strength in the point. So Renegades, great positioning here. We'll see if they can keep it up.
Well, they've taken down 1. That is part of their healing down. Now that's all of their healing down as Jake comes in with the blade. No more heals for Renegades. Only 3 alive. Any damage will be permanent.
Jake had a rough start to the day, but he has had a great Temple of Anubis. Consistently good Dragon Blades. Picking up 2, 3, 4 people at a time. And just crushing the spirit of Renegades here, where they have to leave with only a single tick.
Rough for them, and now all the ults were used. As you mentioned during that fight, a solo ultimate onto a Winston, something you don't generally see, but they went all in on that fight. They're going to have to push into a sound barrier. Train is going to have his up as well. Mangachu needs to hit some entry rockets, get a nice kill to start it off with this damage boost.
Mangachu just looking for the early pickoff, supported by Sherlocky, and finds Super pretty early on, but Juvenile falls. They're down to Winston early in this fight. They're not going to be able to res it. Sherlocky isn't there yet. And LG Evil going pretty hard on the double dive here as they use the sound barrier to go deep into Renegade's backline. But Jesus, making this a fight still.
Making it a fight, but it does feel over already for Renegades. Jesus still on the point, D-Mex Bull, but look, Jake's not even looking for him. Jake's looking to chase down kills. Finds Lucio out here, but Lucio will get saved. Jake back to his team, also staying alive. I think she's got this barrage up. Sherlocky's still a bit away from a resurrection. So it depends if he gets it during this fight, if he can go all in on it.
We'll see. This is one of the very last good opportunities for Renegades, so time has quickly gotten away from them. They're down to their final minute, final 2 pushes, arguably last push. As here comes Kyle, moving in. Barrage coming in from Mangachu and does not connect, does not get what he's looking for. Kyle's still holding on to his Dragon Blade, but if he used it now, it'd probably be wasted. So Renegades probably gonna have to back out of this one and look for one final fight.
Yeah, they need to dive. It's been over since that combo went down. They're just looking for a little bit of trades. The good thing is, Sherlocky went down so early that he's going to have Barrage up. They will also have Sound Barriers, so that support ultimates are definitely in place, and there's not much for LG Evil to be able to deal with that.
Final fight of the round about to be underway. A lot to be said for Renegades here in their ultimate power going in. If Sherlocky can stay alive, he can definitely put them over the top here. So LG Evil, they need to neutralize him early. Still, the fight engaging right now. Sound barrier setting the stage. Kyle cutting them down. Finds a Vost immediately. LG Evil doing a good job of staying out of the line of fire here. They rope and dope it back, and Train is able to get the Sherlocky. The resurrection potential is gone. Now, they're gonna have to win the rest. Relatively straightforward. Not easy to do here. Jake still up and around. Super able to get on the Jaren, even though they're both trading out. Sherlocky's not there. We're in overtime. This is a very good setup here for LG Evil if they can just get a few more picks.
There will be no healing. Both supports are down. However, this is going on so long that Sherlocky might be able to get in here with the
13 health.
resurrection.
13 health, still alive. Just shoot him. Stop blocking. Mangachu falling at the very end. Lived longer they should have as Train blows up 2. Hero Tracer play coming in. The kill feed now lighting up for LG Evil.
Sherlocky down again.
And Renegades might have thrown this one away as Sherlocky not able to stay alive. Overtime starting to tick down. And that's LG Evil fighting it back. Forget everything you knew about that early round there from Renegades because it did not matter in the end.
Trade.
4-3.
Defensive Tracers so good on these last points of assault. You see them rolling through there. Pulse Bomb up so quickly. And Train taking down Sherlocky, the times that he did was so impactful. You cannot lose your Mercy like that. And they did a really good job of focusing on the combination there towards the end. And that was always the first dive. Take out the Mercy. I mean, that's a trope in games. Kill the healer first.
Penny Arcade had a comic about it in the
I remember.
distant past. It was a very helpful illustrated guide about
It was.
kill this guy right in the back.
Using Team Fortress 2 heroes. I recall that one.
Yeah, and they're so expressive. But I have a statistic for you. It's about Mercy reses and a situation where they work 0% of the time. And that is when the Mercy can't even get in to get the res, and that happened twice there at the end.
They did a great job of prioritizing Sherlocky there in that combo. You saw Winston would leap past Mangachu and just start putting damage on Sherlocky. The call comes through that she's low, then Tracer goes to pick it up too. So from first to last, they really changed up their tactics and how they wanted to deal with that combo.
Overall, I don't blame Sherlocky for that. I think Mercy's options to be evasive in those situations are relatively limited, especially when it's telegraphed. You've just lost 3 people. You know they're running a Mercy, and you don't see the Mercy. Well, it doesn't take a Winston to figure out where the resurrection is going to be coming in from. I'm sorry. It doesn't. So for Sherlocky, unfortunately for him, LG Evil was very much into intercepting the Mercy and stopping the resurrections, and they just weren't able to get a good one off towards the end. And Renegades, huge time lead, not able to convert.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, they were looking really strong. I was feeling very hopeful for them after they had 6+ minutes on the clock. And honestly, at the end there, in addition to killing Sherlocky, Jake really came through with his Dragon Blades. And he does it in the air more than a lot of Genjis do. He is able to deal with it so well.
Jake, we were disappointed by his earlier offerings and also some of how he played in the week, like how he played versus Team Liquid. Not really great. How he played on defensive Anubis was devastating. He was carving through Renegades. Almost every Dragon Blade, a good one, a ruined push, momentum that could not be stopped. So for Jake, it was a return to form. And throughout the series here so far, we've seen every member of LG Evil just about have a star moment. Hollywood, of course, was more super than Jake. Anubis, probably more Jake than super. And Train just being dominant all throughout. So LG Evil definitely looking more like the week 1, week 2 team if you ignore that first round Anubis where they did not look good at all.
Well, they look like the most complete team overall. So we talk a lot about, just take Immortals, for example. It's like, well, if you can shut down Grim, Agilities has to beat you. Who do you try to shut down here? I mean, they went after Rob, and then that was their shutdown target. But then every one of these guys ends up popping off, and it's insane. Now, if you're Renegades, you have a reverse sweep an LG Evil team. Not great.
Not the place you want to be if you're Renegades. That's some pretty simple math. You don't need a Winston to do that either.
I will just say we have had a proud and rich history with reverse sweeps in the OCS. So
This
maybe
will not be the first time.
Maybe they have them right where they want them.
Yes, this
All
was,
according
this was
to
the
plan.
plan all along. Another plan that came to fruition here, I think, was interesting is Train on Pharah as well. When they had Jake on Reaper, I think that worked really well on second. Obviously, Reaper dealing with the tanks very well, but then Train just raining down rockets from above, and it maybe not in Mangachuan. He did a good job though, no matter what.
One thing that's worth noting is how close that fight was to going the other way. Jake was very low at one point. It was Rob 420 just being the hero, just threading the needle, keeping him alive in that situation. And it was great teamwork between Rob 420 and Jake to just keep the pressure up on that point. And Reaper gets better the longer a fight goes. I mean, the more it's cleanup and, oh, you mean I have to go through this tiny doorway and meet that intimidating man in a trench coat with shotguns? Well, yes, you do, and it usually ends pretty well for the Reaper.
I'm impressed by Rob that he got through that game without uninstalling. Like, he was getting pressured so hard that rockets were coming in. He was always the prime target. He got solo ulted on so many times by the barrage, but at a certain point, you take those as a compliment of, you're just going to barrage just me? I guess, but it was frustrating to watch just for him, and he stayed alive longer than most Anas would. He was hitting nades on himself. He was getting big packs, but Mangachu, just vicious.
There's a moment in that back room, the side room, first there, where he's just like running around, like get the health pack, get the nade on himself.
He almost got out of that.
And he did. He almost, Soldier was in there, and like the healing circle came down. Well, our next map is going to be Oasis. And it's, right. Yes. Everyone celebrate.
We have a different control point map.
Yes. And this one was selected by Renegades. Are they just trying to like throw a wrench into the operation here?
I mean, possibly. Also, I mean, there just might be rumors that Mondada's gold was finally found, so now no one has any interest in going back to Nepal, but I'm happy for it. Oasis has been a fun map to watch. Now we get to see it here when it matters most, in the playoffs with LG Evil, one map away from getting to the grand final.
I think it's a good pick for them. If you're going to ride Mangachu's Pharah through the tournament, might as well go on Oasis. It's a very Pharah-centric map, a lot of verticality. So this is what got you here, and it's too late to change now.
Well, you know another hero that it's too late to change. Okay. You know what? I was actually thinking, because we'll probably see Mangachu and Pharah, but I would like to see someone who he played earlier in this event, and that is Bastion. Can we see some jump pad Bastion here?
No.
Okay, we can't.
No, the answer is no.
Make sure that the
Not happening.
the
Not
team
watch
is
it
letting
happen,
Mangachu
and-
know that even if he wanted to play that, he can't do it here. But we are into the third and potentially final map of this match, as LG Evil is up 2-0 in the series. Renegades, they want to try to get into the finals. Starting the reverse sweep right here, as they are up against the wall.
And this is Oasis. I hardly remember at this point, since it feels like it's been so long, but it will be interesting to see what both teams have in store for us here. And are the rumors true? Are the stories true? Probably not, but right now both teams, well, not one team.
Jesus just making a smiley face, making me laugh, but everything makes me laugh.
Well, Jesus, if nothing else, loves to entertain. Certainly does so on his stream. That's a free plug, by the way. I'm not selling out.
Maybe he'll pay you in mods. Well, regardless...
I already am mod.
You didn't have to say that. Mangachu, of course, will be on the Pharah, and Jake actually taking to the skies as well. So combo battles, something you often see on Oasis, especially this stage, as they try to get to high ground. So far, no rockets hit. Sherlocky down already to Vol's Diva.
For bad the worse here for playing Mercy, as Vol picks down too early on, taking down that Pharah Mercy combo with support from Jake, of course, and we're gonna have ourselves a Pharah versus Pharah showdown here that so far has been working out in favor of LG Evil, as Jake finding his groove. Not only was it on Genji, but this has been a pretty impressive opening here as Pharah as well.
You know, LG Evil's a team that can start slow, and a lot of that is, I think Jake needs time to warm up sometimes, but there have been times on maps that we've seen them just look very different from map 1 to map 3. They do warm up over the course of an evening.
Jake versus Mangachu in over the top. Mangachu trying to treat Jake like he's Nicholas. Oh!
Dunked.
Goodbye, Juvenile. One of the saddest wins and deaths I have seen, as Jake still hanging in here. Both Pharahs fighting each other. Mangachu finally getting it, but the resurrection is there. Round 2. Jake with the extra life, and he takes down Mangachu with it. Sherlocky's already down. There won't be no res for him, so LG Evil maintaining a firm control at this point right now.
Meanwhile, Vol has been a monster on this Diva, shutting down the Mercy more than once, doing all that little peppering damage. It's so important to contribute to taking down the combo. It takes a village sometimes to be able to take down a Pharah Mercy combo, so getting in that early damage allows those kills to actually come through towards the end. Kyle now will play a Diva of his own. He's got self-destruct in here. Self-destruct can be very good on this stage.
There's so many ways of getting caught off guard by the self-destructing Vol right now. Not doing anything crazy, just holding down his primary fire and removing Juvenile from the equation. So good positioning here from LG Evil, not making them really do a whole lot, as what? Jesus finding out that his own pulse bomb is actually, in fact, quite explosive.
That was uncharacteristic for Jesus. Perhaps some ability happened there that made him not rewind. Rewind can be fickle sometimes, so I'll just chalk that up to one bad day for him. Holding up this high ground is the combo, and it has been all LG Evil so far, getting down to probably the last possible fight for Renegades to win.
Renegades has been getting outplayed at their own game here in terms of Pharah contribution, where even if you're not winning the Pharah v Pharah decisively, Jake is doing a lot more on the ground than Mangachu is here. Mangachu trying to get back into it. No, gets Vol right in his back. Sherlocky gonna have to burn the res here. Oh, he doesn't get a chance. Takes a rocket from Jake instead. Mangachu not coming back into this fight. Resurrection not quite in time, and LG Evil with a player advantage here in overtime on this first round. 99% to 0. Renegades struggling to hold on.
They want to close this out before a Resurrection can come back in. Mangachu will come up over the top with Barrage, looking to hit something very big. He's going to have a Mercy in his sights. That is a res, but look! Defense Matrix out!
Vol just neutralizing Mangachu at every turn, and I think that's been a difference here in the Diva game between both sides. Vol's been much better at neutralizing his Jake, going to town on the cleanup. Every kill going the way of LG Evil, and that's about as decisive gets here in the garden section of Oasis, because
Vol's usually their Zarya. Train is definitely their D.Va main when they put someone on D.Va, but Vol is having a great game on this D.Va. It seems that LG Evil just has a different perspective on how to use her. She's been dominant for them throughout the tournament.
You definitely saw a bigger focus from Vol going in on Negachu than vice versa with Kyle going in on Jake. And Jake had a lot of room to work with and made good use of that room as see Jesus abusing a poor robot here for no reason.
It looked like Probius, new Heroes hero.
Kind of an unpainted Probius where it's just like, yeah, you don't actually get your sweet Protoss paint job.
Well, sometimes you just don't have the minerals left over for those paint jobs. Jake still on the Pharah combination, whereas Mangachu is the one that is switched off. This map in particular, some players have opted to not go with the Pharah. Not quite the same verticality, but see how this matchup goes. Mangachu on the Soldier 76 has been inconsistent.
Well, Jake, you're in the back on the Pharah. This is the university stage, and not the stage where you usually see as much Pharah play. It's harder for Pharah to get things done. The Skybox not as forgiving, but for now, it's been all right here for LG Evil. They've just been trying to win the poke war, and now they commit. They go in deep, and they take down Sherlock immediately. Whether it be on Ana or Mercy, Sherlock has had a heck of a time staying alive as Jake, landing a lot of rockets here into this tight area, but that's a problem. There's not a big escape area. He goes down to Mangachu. Still, though, LG Evil with a bit more momentum in this fight.
Well, Avast is having ambitions of killing a soldier one-on-one as Lucio unable to do so. Him and Rob will fall, so that is all the healing now gone for LG Evil. Still putting pressure on the point somehow, but you'd have to think that this should eventually balance over to Renegades.
Renegades is trying to pull it back over. Right now, no one has control of the fight. We have the tactical visor coming out from Mangachu, but there's, despite what his character may say, no one was in his sights. It's a completely wasted tac visor. A little bit of zoning potential at all, but Jake, Barrage comes in, takes down 2. Gonna make it 3 before his valiant sacrifice comes to an end, but now LG Evil with a great potential to retake control at this point. Though as I say that, Jesus and Kyle trying to turn the tables once more.
Well, one of the reasons you see Pharah less on this map is because you saw exactly how Jake died there, is Roadhog can be within range to shut down your Pharah. Saw that was the one kill they got going in through there, but a nice charge on his super takes him out of this fight.
Super does not use the Primal Ranger. I think he wanted to save it, or he just didn't get off in time. One of the two. Kyle moving on to point, holding the Graviton, doesn't want to throw it away, and gets taken down by Train. Too much pressure on him. He got stalled out looking for a good Graviton and couldn't get it. And Jesus, gonna take that bath into that university water.
I think Vol has just been surprising people with his tracking. The amount of damage he has put on some of these heroes who simply underestimating the D.Va has been magnificent. Ultimate's now up for most of Renegades. In theory, this is a fight they should win. Also, Rob not even close to res.
Well, this is a fight they absolutely should win, where they have the ult advantage. If they don't take it here, what fight could they possibly want that would be better than this? So, Kyle, we're gonna see what he does in the Graviton. Has to respect the D.Va. Self-destruct coming in. This is a good opportunity to maybe drop a Graviton. Doesn't use it here just yet. 1 kill for Renegades. They've already burned a lot of their ultimates here and only have 1 kill to show for it. Now they have 3. Momentum for the fight going firmly in their favor towards the end. So
Max range hook takes down Rob. And that was a fight they had to win, and smartly. And look, they're going to have 2 ultimates here that are so impactful to stagger out through the next couple of fights.
They will, but they're also taking them a long time to actually secure this. Finally, they're going to flip it, but at 81%, LG Evil now 1 fight away from taking the round and being 1 round away from going to the grand finals. So Renegade's going to need to be perfect here, and a lot does kind of depend on Kyle to win at least 1 fight for free. Doesn't want to donate a Graviton. And oh, as he's looking at that, he's not looking at Jake. Justice raining from the side. No Graviton coming out here this time.
Nothing on the Earth Shatter either from Juvenile, so that's both ults that they had going into this fight now out of the equation. Of course, they will be able to get the Graviton back in here at some point, but that was a fight that they could have won. They will end up boosting Mangachu 76.
Look at this, Rob 420 holding on to the res. He's going to be able to res quite a few people here. Diving in. No! What a play by Mangachu. Stops him. 4-person resurrection not actually happening.
I felt bad for him there because you knew he had to go in, but you could still hear the visor around the corner. But he had to go. Nothing he could do about it. So a little rough there. 81-51 as Renegades continues to have control of the point.
Meanwhile, in the Chronicles of Kyle tries to Graviton. Giving a lot of respect here to D.Va. Doesn't want to be on a D.Va eating highlight reel. And there's the Graviton. Gonna connect. Pulls in 3. and patience paying off. Kyle went home happily ever after. Now the resurrection does come in, so LG Evil can still apply pressure to this fight, but Jesus smothering into the back of Mangachu. Very good round here for both Mangachu and Jesus. Able to pile on for Renegades. Now Renegades, one fight away.
One fight away indeed, and they will stall out some of those late kills. Jake's going to switch to the Genji. I think this should have happened earlier. They've been trying this Pharah. It hasn't really gotten the value that you want from it. The good thing for them is maybe Avast can get to an sound barrier during this fight. They don't have a lot of options. Neither does Renegades, though, so it's going to be a very vanilla fight.
Well, a lot might depend on Vol. We've seen Vol have good openings, and he's going to go for it again. Self-destruct to the top. Falls to the ground. Not a great stage for a long floating self-destruct. Fireworks unfriendly, and the Earth Shatter comes in from Juvenile, knocks down two. Jake and Super out of this fight immediately. Mangachu going for the cleanup. And Renegades certainly doing a very good job of pulling this one back. LG Evil now stuck in last moment stall mode, but not in a very good position to stall. As good as Train has been, this is probably mission impossible.
Well, can block them off of the point with that late grab. This stage just plays differently than the rest of Oasis, so not a really big surprise to see LG Evil struggle a bit there. I think they might have stayed on the combo a little too far. There's a reason you don't see the combo on that map. The range just isn't there.
It's a little bit of a surprise to me, just based on the identity of what we know for these two teams, where LG Evil generally excels in close quarters, and Renegades likes wide open areas for Pharah, and yet we've seen both teams play to each other's strengths, at least in the first two rounds. So it's been interesting. LG Evil going to be swapping back to the Pharah. Mangachu back on the Pharah. If you like Air Wars, well, we're going to be getting it once more here as we go into the third stage of Oasis, which of course is the city center.
Everyone able to get in on the Air Wars on this map, as well as we'll see maybe some trampolines.
Pharah has her own built-in trampoline. Parents got her that for Christmas.
Well, Kyle on the 76 going to be a big part of these battles. They're trying to go after mid-airs. Rob already down by aforementioned Kyle. Both supports down by Jake. That is a one fight for Renegades already.
Ground war, check. Air war, check. All of LG Evil dead. In progress, but now check.
Systems at max.
So, very effective fight there for Renegades. That just one on a raw mechanical level. Mangachu hitting more rockets to start things out.
He's going to get all this free poke into. The walk up to this is brutal, which is why you see them actually sticking in spawn. They're not rolling out so that they get all this damage eaten in. Have to roll out with a Diva. So they are going to put enough damage on Mangachu to force him back and keep his poke to a minimum.
Mangachu certainly in a good position right now, just laying in the poke, making things as difficult as possible for LG Evil to engage. But LG Evil, the composition they're running can be very good at diving that back. And here they go. Diva and Winston hand in hand, but Jake falls immediately. Eats a rocket from Mangachu. Pulse bomb out. Goodbye to your mech. Again, very good stuff coming out here from the ground and the air at the same time for Renegades as they just neatly throw LG Evil off.
The hit scan has been dominant. This transition onto 76 for Kyle has worked out very well for them. Jake had notions of switching off. They are going to move Train onto 76. But still running the combo. Have to win at least one part of these battles, either air or ground, to have any chance. And it's been all Renegades in this.
Well, the problem is for Jake is that Jake, if he does commit to the Fair v Fair, he's going to have to win the battle twice, unless he grabs the early kill, because Resurrection is up and at the right. Meanwhile, Mangachu going to drop the barrage, immediately deletes Train from the fight. 5 versus 5. Both teams down to 76, so relatively even here. Both teams lacking the same thing. But now with Lucio going down, Sherlocky gonna res, try and tide turn this over to the side of Renegades, where you don't have an answer for this really on the LG Evil side. Rob 420 and Jake going to fall. And that is going to be a one fight for Renegades. 82% here in the city center.
They haven't been able to deal with this combo. They haven't been able to deal with anything on the ground. It has just seemed confounding for this LG Evil team. Kyle's going to take a peek up here, and even this air combo coming in, I mean, it's going to be difficult for them to get any traction against Kyle. He's trying to pop up and pop his visor when he sees this. There it is.
Well, there's a visor, and they're not even...
Yeah.
How are they not considered on the point there? That was a little strange. I guess it was on the margin. Bit of an error there for LG Evil, really, as they still could have contested that.
Could have contested it, but the way that stage went, I mean,
it wasn't
move to
looking
the next stage.
Well, A, it wasn't looking good for them. B, I'm pretty sure Kyle had them dead the rights with the tac visor
Yeah.
anyways, so give them a bit of a pass, even though there's no reason not to at least see how that plays out.
Well, nothing went well for them there. That is all you can really say. Their combo got out-comboed, their ground war got out-ground warred, but this was the stage they won earlier, LG Evil, and looked very good on it.
This is a stage that LG Evil dominated.
Yes.
Full stop. And it was a very good diva performance from Vol that really enabled that. We'll see if they can have that same sort of luck as they move back into their gardens, where good RNG on their part here to roll this as well. Was not guaranteed.
Absolutely. Kyle on the ground, this 76 has helped out a lot in the combo wars, so he was on the Diva early on and the Zarya as well, but this 76 has been very good for them. Jesus will already demech Vol here.
How far out are you going to go with this Fair Mercy combo? Dangerously teetering near the seed, but working out right now. Let's take a look at the ground war back over the other side. LG Evil keeping it somewhat close, but with the cleanup from Jesus, that is going to fall away very quickly. That was a little bit of a strange fight with just how far out both Pharah Mercy combos went.
The problem is right now they have two targets that require Vol's attention 100%. It's either Kyle or going to be Mangachu, and he can't pick to do both. So right now it's been Kyle cleaning up on the 76, adding in so much to this combo fight. That's a nice entry rocket, but already back at 200 health because no one else is chipping in on the combo for Renegades.
The air wars continue here, and it's relatively even. Both sides trading out, but it's Jesus putting the ground war on a different level, and Mangachu just gonna dunk right into Rob 420's face to end that fight. So this has been a different tale here so far compared to the last time we were on Gardens. Much more convincing coming out from Mangachu, maybe just needed a little bit to warm up, but I do wonder if LG Evil, are they just gonna ride this Pharah to the very end?
It appears so, but it's essentially 3v2 at best unless they can stick a little more with Diva, but Juvenile now on the Diva as well, so the numbers in this situation simply favor Renegades to be able to continue to win these fights if no one else is going to be doing damage onto Mangachu's combo. See, another entry rocket. There's the finish. That is the first time that has happened for them.
Though. Sherlocky is going to bring Mangachu up for sure in this case, unless the rest of his team dies in front of him. But no, he's going to go for the res. And we got a second life here. Mangachu returns to the air once more. Momentum certainly in LG Evil's favor here as Mangachu falls once more. And that should be the fight, but what an opening here from Renegades. Already at 70%, and yes, LG Evil retook that pretty quickly, but means Renegades only has to win basically 2 fights to take the round and force a map 4.
So far, Barrage is up. That was the first time that Jake had won the Air War. I like how Mangachu's been using his barrages today. Solo ulting is fine. Barrage, a very difficult ultimate to get more value out of, unless you're with a Zarya or you're getting some sort of special protection. So he's just using it as a guaranteed kill. Visor comes in from below.
Flanking tac visor coming in to support that barrage. 2 going down immediately as Mangachu just removes the opposite Fair Mercy combo, and it's a very good engage here for Renegades. Catches LG Evil off guard, and credit where credit's due. Beauty coming out from Mangachu.
Very nice barrage there, and it's totally fine to use on just a Mercy. If you're still alive after that happens, then you just pivot and you focus on the Pharah as well. And they are loaded for bear as LG Evil. They have to win this next fight based on the percentages. They've got all the tools to do so, but there's Air War, Mangachu.
Air War in progress, Jake fighting it back. First kill going down to Sherlocky, going the fall. Last opportunity here for LG Evil. They must win every fight from here on out on the stage, and they do so with style. Mangachu going the fall. A lot of ultimates being able to be saved here for LG Evil. So even though we're in overtime and they're on the point, A, they're going to recap this here, and B, they have the ult economy to stall this out to one final decisive fight in all likelihood. So Renegades not out of the woods here yet.
Well, Jake going to be perched up here, doing a little bit of rocket jumping, those TF2 mechanics. You know, hard to beat them out of your muscle memory. So now the Air War will commence again. Another nice first rocket, but if you don't hit that second rocket right away...
It doesn't matter as Mangachu does get 2-tapped. Down he goes immediately. Sherlocky with the res right away. So the fight's still in progress here for Renegades. They're down Jer still. He was not part of that resurrection party. Both teams getting in deep here on the point. This is a long fight here. If Renegades loses this, they might even lose the attempt to come back in. Jake, Mangachu in it once more. Next rocket does not land as Jake gets a little bit discombobulated, but finds Mangachu towards the very end. Farewell, Kyle. Sweet, brave soldier. 85% here, Hex, and LG Evil looking much better ult-wise. They might have brought themselves out of a very deep hole.
This economy has been fantastic for them. They've had the ult advantage for the last several minutes, able to stay alive, and really it's a lot about just Jake hitting more rockets on the entry.
Well, Train right now looking to be a little bit spicy, looking for the pulse on the back. Jake wins the fair v fair battle again, and is going to give people a weather report of rockets. Gets the Lucio before getting neutralized, and this is looking very good here for LG Evil. I think Rob's just going to use his resurrection here to secure it out in a moment. And need to. That is going all the way of LG Evil there, and that going to lead us to a 5th and final map here, Hex, where LG Evil could book their ticket to the grand finals.
The problem for LG Evil is that they're definitely going to a stage they've lost. So yes, it's going to be difficult for them to bring it back. I mean, neither of the stages they lost looked very good, but I guess you'd want University. At least they were competitive on University.
I believe this is University. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. And I think Jake going Pharah here would be a mistake. I kind of want to see Jake on the Genji. We've seen him have very good Genji games on University. There it is! So, LG Evil not repeating the same Pharah mistake here. They're going to swap to the Genji and let their hopes either live or die with that. I think it's a very smart move.
They're on one of their standard compositions now, everyone on some of their best heroes, which hasn't been the case on the last couple of stages. So very standard LG Evil roster coming out. They're going to be pushing into 4 tanks of Renegades here. It's going to be difficult for Genji to get a lot done, but still can be effective.
A lot to be said here for the Jesus versus Jake matchup, where Jesus is going to have to land hooks to keep Jake from getting the poke he wants here. But look at LG Evil using the D.Va to their advantage, trying to win the shield war and really bully Renegades off to opposite flanks. And that's what's happening here, where Jesus feels compelled to try and go from the side, look for a hook, but not really getting a whole lot of targets in front of him. It's a much better front line here from LG Evil than Renegades. To this point, having some trouble really getting through. That said, Super gets caught out. Now, 6 versus 5, and much better situation for Renegades.
Well, Juvenile does go for a charge, ends up putting himself in the corner there. No control of the point just yet, as the kills have been very spread out. Train will be demexed by Kyle. Now Jake is getting fully back. They will have to give up the point.
Give up the point, and by the way, speaking of Kyle, he already has his Graviton up. Oh, pretty close as well, but we'll see if Kyle can have a bit of a better Graviton day here. He had to hold his Graviton for way too long the last time we were on University, but when he did finally land it, it was a good one.
Going for some splash damage right now. Be interesting to see where Kyle sets up. The problem is that Train is a very good D.Va and has eaten some of those Gravitons before. Jake's going to come in here with the blade. Nano Blade.
Nano Blade at the ready. Going to be countered by the Sound Barrier. Jake, though, still going in. Takes down Juvenile. Did not want him in this fight. The counter Graviton in from Bull just to pile on. 4 unanswered kills here from LG Evil. And it works out pretty well. They have to convert all their ultimates into that team fight win. And now we'll see if Renegades can punish him a bit for that, as Mangachu is swapping. He's down to 76.
An interesting swap from Mangachu, but during that fight, Super was able to build up Earth Shatter. He might be trying to pose up for flank Shatter. Kyle still holding this Graviton, which has been somewhat of an issue at this point.
Kyle looking for the Graviton, and it connects. Does not hit the Sound Barrier, now forces out the Sound Barrier for LG Evil. Defensive Matrix, of course, evaded there. There's a self-destruct from Train. Takes down Juvenile again. They're really focusing Juvenile as their first target here for LG Evil, and it's working out. This fight going to go their way in all likelihood, despite the early Graviton by Kyle.
Jesus, so low, is able to get out and take a breather there, but most of that whole hog went right into the defense matrix, so he's going to try to punish Eva for making him use his ult and not get the value out of it. He does hit a nice hook there. Still, though, in control of LG Evil, as the point is not flipped back over. Jake finds a target in the back line. Hard to 1v1 and Ana, no matter what you are, will go down to a right click from Jesus. Meanwhile, still kills going on the point from the LG Evil tanks.
There was stall going out for quite a while there on the LG Evil side, but they have lost control, and now they just nano boost Bull here. They just want him to build another Graviton up quickly, regardless of the situation of this fight, and will follow the Mangachu and the attack visor, but fight-wise, we'll see how LG Evil regroups, as that is a pretty good clean out there from Renegades.
Relatively even on the percentages now, as Renegades continues to hold control of this point. Vol getting towards his grab. He could have a grab and blade combination, but it'll be very difficult. Jake's going to be careful. He got so low out there.
Well, Jake is going to have to go in raw with this Dragon Blade here. Not going to have the nano boost to really help him out too much. and he's just waiting for it here. This means he has to be a little bit more cautious. He can't just dive in crazily. But the Earth Shadow is going to come down early on. Sound Bearer going to deal with it, and now here's Dragon Blade. Jake gets one early on, looking for more, trying to get in, and gets again a little bit confused, but doesn't matter. It's 4 kills from LG Evil, and the engagement works out in their favor. They're going to retake. The Renegades, one fight away from winning this map and staying alive.
Absolutely, as they do near 90%. Grabs up for both teams. It might be a tale of 2 grabs going into this, as they do set up for one of the final fights here. Already 70% for LG Evil, so regardless, this could end up being the last fight of the game.
LG Evil's in a very good spot here. It's going to be a tale of 2 Gravitons, and Vol strikes first. 3 people in that Graviton. Self-destruct to the back. 3 kills from LG Evil, and they strike first. Renegades trying to bring this back here with the Tech Visor, but not going to happen. He gets thrown into the back.
Nice sleep. Now Jake's got the dash resets, 92 and counting, 94, 95. They're going to have to get desperation in here. Juvenile does get onto the point.
We are getting down to the wire. Renegades in their final stretch. They need to hope for a miracle. Jesus starting in and around the point, looking to build up the pulse bomb. Only at 47% though, so it's a long way to go. It's not quite where they need to be here. A dominant amount of LG Evil members on the point, but the stall from Jesus very effective. It buys time for Kyle to get back on here. And now with Bull down, here comes Jake. They're trying to put in this Dragon Blade out, and he gets knocked right down. Juvenile in the house sets up Kyle for 2 kills, and Renegades trying to pull this right back. Now it's LG Evil on the back foot, and they can't back down for any reason here, Hex. So see how this goes. Oh my God! No, he cleared off the point. LG Evil is taking it. They are going to be in the grand finals.
And of course, it's Train with a self-destruct over the top. We have seen him nail self-destructs. If you watched our intro video, you saw just the Train self-destructs happening all day. Jake with a good Genji game.
Out of nowhere, the self-destruct just literally ends the game.
I was confused, but
all right.
I suppose you can't be on the point when that happens, and overtime Wick had been burns down.
Yeah, that is about as flashy a finish as you can get. I had no idea which way it was going to go.
I don't even blame Jesus on there because Jesus was still up and around, but as far as he knew, people are on the point. It just, as soon as they died, overtime went away almost instantly.
Yeah. No, Jesus actually did a great job of delaying there at the end. I was honestly getting a little annoyed, you know, like somebody kill the Tracer. He's been on the point forever. But yeah, you know, the scales were nearly tipped back towards Renegades there, but they just weren't able to pile on that last little bit. And it is another 3-0, this time in favor of LG Evil. And we do have the rest of the bracket now created. But let's talk a little bit about this match. So we saw Oasis, first of all. Haven't seen it a lot this series, but it tends to be a little scrappier than a lot of these maps, especially with Farah in the mix, because you essentially have 2 fights going on at any given time, and that actually seemed to benefit Renegades there. They had Jesus and Kyle on the bottom, and then, of course, Mangachu usually holding his own up in the air, but I guess a mixed success here.
Well, Kyle, I think, was the big factor, especially in those garden stages where they just didn't have the tools to deal with both him and Mangachu. So what would happen is the combo fights going on up above, the pharmacy battle, and then Kyle is getting more significant damage onto the combo of LG Evil, which allows Mangachu to hit single rockets instead of having to double tap, and I think he was a big factor there. They were unable to shut him down with the Diva, and it also pulled the Diva off the combo.
And overall in that, too, it just felt like there was a burst of life coming out there at the very end from Renegades, where everyone was playing far better across the board, including Kyle, who's new to the team. And I think it just caught LG Evil off guard a bit, and it led to what was one of the crazier finishes that we've had in the end. What can you ask for?
Yeah, no, I can't ask for too much more. We saw the Farah v. Farah battle, of course, and Jake played pretty well at the beginning. You know, I think he won a couple of those matchups, but obviously Mangachu, we've seen him play that Farah. We've seen that movie before, so to speak. The only other thread that I saw in this one was who are you focusing? And both teams were heavily focusing the tanks in a lot of these fights. And it did seem like a lot of times, whichever tank went down first, whichever Reinhardt went down first, that team was, not going to do so well.
Juvenile was getting focused super hard towards the very end. Most things were going in on Juvenile, regardless of where, because it just opened up the rest of his team so much when that shield is out of the way. And you saw it probably most in effect on that final University stage.
Yep. Yeah, and there was the few fights that actually went in favor of Renegades is when Super went down. And so that ended up tipping the scales a little bit towards them, but they still weren't able to finish it out. Well, in that case, I think we've got our bracket for tomorrow. I'm not sure if we're able to talk about it yet because it's super secret. No, let's go ahead and talk about it. We already know it's going to be Immortals facing off against LG Evil in the finals, and it's we talked about it beforehand as well. Which team would we pit against